What I try to teach kids is to try to hit a line drive and try to break the glove at a shortstop or second baseman. And eventually, when you try to hit that line drive to second and to short, the way your swing goes through, it allows you to end up generating more line drives and fly balls to gap to gap.
Welcome to episode 297 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. It's finally happened. A week after getting called up by the Cleveland Guardians, St. Albert's Erik Sabrowski made his Major League debut Wednesday night against the Kansas City Royals. He came out of the bullpen in the seventh inning with the Guardians down 4-1. With Bobby Witt Jr. on second, Sabrowski's first pitch to Yuli Gurriel was wild. Then this happened with two strikes.
The 3-2, swing and a miss. He gets his first big league strikeout to end the inning. Congratulations to Erik Sabrowski.
The AHP Academy alum then came out in the eighth inning and struck out Paul DeYoung.
He has fouled off 6 in this at-bat. And Sabrowski strikes him out.
And Sabrowski then got Robbie Grossman to pop up, allowed a double to Michael Garcia, then induced a fly out to Freddie Fermin to end the inning. All told, he allowed no runs on one hit and no walks while striking out 2 as the Guardians lost by that same 4-1 score. After the game, Sabrowski spoke with reporters about the outing.
Couple days to get you in there, but just with everything you've been through, just how good did it feel to get out there and help the team out?
Felt amazing. Like you said, yeah, it was a few days, but I was just kept telling myself to stay ready. My time was going to come, and fortunately, it happened tonight.
First pitch, just it goes to the backstop. Just how did you calm yourself down in that at bat?
Just had to remind myself that it's a baseball game. Yeah, the stage is bigger, but I've thrown lots of pitches in my life, and just take a deep breath and not do that again, hopefully.
You get the strikeout. I saw you had emotions, but then you were like, I want the ball.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind through all of that?
You see it sometimes, people throw that ball in the stands. I was like, no, I've worked too hard for that to watch that one go away. So that's a ball I'm going to hold on to for the rest of my life.
What does this all mean to you? I mean, you've gone through Tommy John a few times. Just what does it mean to everything you've been through?
There's so many people that are part of today, and excuse me. And I'm just fortunate to have all of them. It's a really special day.
Saw you out in the hallway, making breeze. Who was here from your family?
That's my fiance, Renee. She's been going through this ride that I've been on, and it's just as much her day as it is mine.
Again, congratulations to Erik Sabrowski on his MLB debut, and we look forward to seeing him continue to rack up the strikeouts with the Guardians, who are leading the AL Central as we speak. We also have a brand new story on Sabrowski's debut at albertadugoutstories.com. We provided a few other pro updates last week as well, so here are a few of the other guys we've been keeping tabs on throughout the year. Vauxhall Academy grad Damiano Palmaggiani had himself a night on Tuesday, going 2 for 4 with 2 homers and 5 RBI in a 12-0 Buffalo win over Lehigh Valley.
1-2 pitch. Hit in the air towards left center field, tagged well. Going back is Stevenson toward the track, and that ball's gone over the left center field wall. Palmaggiani hits his 16th of the season, a 3-run shot, and it's 4-0 Herd.
That ball way out of here.
That's crushed in the air to left field. Going back is Kroon in front of the wall at the track, looking up, and that ball is gone for a solo home run as it gets over the yellow line. Earlier tonight, the ball stayed in the park for a flyout. This time his second home run of the game extends Buffalo's lead to a dozen.
Palmaggiani is now hitting .223 with 19 homers and 64 RBI this season. As he's had to battle back from some injuries, he's making an interesting case for himself to be a call-up for the retooling Toronto Blue Jays. Wetaskiwin's Matt Kootenay is still trying to find his footing in Double-A with the Rocket City Trash Pandas. He was promoted a few weeks ago after a stellar start to the season in High A Tri-City. The St. FX Academy product is hitting .184 in Double-A with a home run and 7 RBI in 21 games. Dawgs Academy grad Gavin Logan continues to have an up-and-down season with the High A Hillsborough Hops. He's hitting .179 with 3 homers and 15 RBI while being a steady presence behind the plate. Fellow Dog Micah McDowell has made his pro debut in the Miami Marlins system. He's with the High A Jupiter Hammerheads and has 2 singles, a walk, and a run in 2 games. His teammate, former Brooks Bombers slugger Eric Radachik, has also made his debut, and he's been more active with the Hammerheads. He's hitting .255 .5 with 6 runs scored, 4 RBI, and 5 stolen bases in 17 games. In other news around Alberta's baseball world, a tip of the cap to everyone involved in the world's longest game in Sherwood Park over the weekend. They played for over 100 hours and raised more than $296,000. If you'd like to support them to get to their goal of $300,000, head to worldslongestgame.ca. The Labor Day long weekend brought an end to the Baseball Canada National Championship season. Alberta, represented by Dawgs Academy, picked up a silver medal at the 15U Ray Carter Cup. Meantime, Baseball Alberta's 16U girls team also grabbed a silver, while Alberta took home 4th in the men's championship and 10th in the 13U championship. It's been a lot, but we are hoping to have some recap stories on our website soon, as well as more guests to recap those tournaments in the weeks ahead here on the show. Congratulations to Baseball Alberta on hosting a great Western Canada Prospects Series in St. Albert over the weekend. BC took home the 14U title over Alberta, while Manitoba knocked off BC in the 16U championship. The tourneys are not done yet, though. The Sylvan Lake Gulls are hosting the inaugural Gulls Rising Stars Classic this weekend at Gulls Stadium. That tournament will feature some of the best 19U talent with teams from St. Joseph Academy and Red Deer, as well as Vauxhall, AHP, Weber, and the newest Saskatchewan Dugout Story sponsor, the Going Yard Academy Goats. Games start on Friday with the final set for 2:30 Sunday afternoon. The Edmonton Collegiate Hawks are hosting their Fall Showcase Tournament September 12th through 15th at Remax Field. 2 ECH teams will take to the field, as well as the academies at ATHX, Cardinals, Bulldogs, Evolution, Parkland, and Badlands. And we are just a few weeks away from the annual Canadian Future Showcase at Rogers Centre in Toronto. The best high school products from across the country will gather to put on a show. We've had a few invitees like Easton Katura, Zach Foden, and Dom Morgan on the show in recent weeks, and we plan to have a few more on before and after the tourney. So shameless self-promotion time here. Make sure to hit subscribe, as we have plenty of great conversations still to come. Now, lately we've been rolling out episodes with 3 or 4 or sometimes 5 guests, but when a member of the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame comes calling, you want to give him as much airtime as possible. Such is the case with former MLB slugger Matt Stairs, who was recently named a new hitting coordinator with Dawgs Academy. We've had him on the show as part of our coverage for the WCBL All-Star Game in recent years, but never really had a long, in-depth conversation about coaching philosophies or whether power is an overvalued commodity in baseball nowadays. So we did exactly that this week, and here's our conversation now with Matt Stairs. Matt, thanks so much again for joining us here on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
You've been an honorary guest in Alberta and Saskatchewan for a few years now, but it's official. You've signed as a hitting coordinator for Dawgs Academy. How excited are you to get things going?
Very excited. I mean, whenever, you join a tremendous program academy like the Okotoks Dogs, it's, you kind of get that goosebumps, knowing that it's soon going to be baseball again, and seeing some tremendous talent and, just not being around the tremendous talent, but being around the such experienced coaching staff with Major League Service, amazing front office, and of course a great ownership. So I'm excited to get going. I'm looking forward to flying up on Sunday and jumping in right away on Monday.
I know whenever you're here for WCBL All-Star Game festivities, you're always coming out a little bit early and you're chatting with the 13U team or the 15U team. So this isn't necessarily a far stretch, but what is it about the Dogs that made you say, I like what they're doing, I want to do a little bit more here?
Well, I think it's, on the baseball sides of it, you're looking at, quality players, just not in Alberta, but throughout, getting an opportunity to work with another, a tremendous coaching staff and who brings a lot of experience and things that I'll learn as well from. And I'm still with the FMBA, the Fredericton Minor Baseball Association. So, a lot of things that I do out there and learn from out there, I can bring back for our young players as well here in Fredericton. So, and not just Fredericton, I mean, throughout New Brunswick or wherever I'm going to be, helping out. So, it's just another opportunity to teach some of the stuff that I've learned and to learn some more stuff.
You and I had a great chat prior to the All-Star Game this year about coaching and getting involved on the youth side of the game. It's kind of a point of pride, it felt like, when I was chatting with you about it. What is it about that side of the game that you enjoy so much?
Well, I think with the major league experienced coaches and professional coaches, you kind of have the, I don't know, you have like a extra set of ears listening to you, right? Like it's when you sit down and you explain things of, I was in your spot, many moons ago, 40 years ago. I was, you guys sitting here and having a dream of playing either Major League Baseball or Major League Hockey, whatever it is, or any professional sport. And, it's just the fact that they're so willing to listen and learn and try things. And, you don't go into a program and try to change things right away. I'm assuming that the first week or so, I'll be, walking around watching. Of course, I'll have hands-on and stuff, but taking notes and just trying to not necessarily try to change so many batting stances or trying to change swings, but trying to put them in that mental side of playing baseball. I was a very mentally strong player, and realizing that it's a short memory game, and you can't take a bat to a bat and game to game. It's got to be pitch to pitch, and that side, I think I can bring a very, very positive and very strong side of the physical, the mental side of it. I'm a very positive person, and I enjoy what I do. It's a passion of talking, hitting, and working with kids, and especially that younger age. And the 13, 15, 18, I mean, they're in the primes, especially 15 and 13, they're in their primes. And, you just want to help them out and tell them what I've done to succeed, not necessarily do exactly what I did, but understand the ups and downs and trying to stay on that, that path where you don't, go on a high and you don't go on a crash. It's a long, long, tough road of playing baseball, and just remembering that.
Mm. You mentioned the mental side of it. What is the biggest key in your eyes to overcoming some of that heartache or those hardships that you encounter in a game that is known for being a game of failure?
Well, it is. I mean, for me, I took a different approach. Mine was my mental side of it was I never really expected to get a hit. I expected to stay with my program and stick with my approach, and hopefully it worked out. And pitchers make mistakes. You got to be ready to hit off the power or your strength, which is a key in hitting. You can't try to cover both sides of the plate early in the count. It is. I mean, the biggest thing that I'll talk to early is that this is the hardest game to play, and people are probably going to argue with it. I don't care what people say. Baseball is the hardest sport to step in that batter's box and try to square up a baseball or try to get a base hit off a very talented pitcher. So I think the biggest thing for me is explain them how you have to have a short memory. You always have to carry yourself in a positive way, in which I mean, like if things aren't going very well and all of a sudden you drop your shoulders and you're shaking your head and you're kind of feeling sorry for yourself, pitcher doesn't care. And it's just a matter of again, pitch to pitch and short memory. That's the key at a young age. Is they all want to hit.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that they all want to hit, but they understand too that quality at bats, taking pitches, working the count. If you get a walk or if you're in there for 6 or 7 pitches and you have a good at bat, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, you are working with a lot of younger players that they want to hit. They want to get hits.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. Hitting is easy. The hardest thing about hitting is getting hits. So that's what I kind of preach early into them. Just stay with your game plan, and go from there, and you'll have success from it.
When you're looking at the young players today, do you see anything trend-wise or maybe it's habits-wise that you like, that you're going, we need to capitalize on this because maybe we didn't do it back when I was a youngster?
Well, I think the difference now is that you're seeing a lot of younger players nowadays attacking fastballs. I think, honestly, back when I was younger playing and a lot of players, and you still see it to this day on certain levels, they're trying to hit every single pitch, which makes hitting a lot harder. I think with the difference of nowadays compared to, when we were younger, is that we use the whole part of the field and realize that we don't have to be strictly a pull hitter. We don't have to be strictly a guy that hits the ball to right field or left field. If we think about getting in the batter's box and working the gaps and driving the ball in the gaps, a lot of good things happen. That's what I find nowadays is that players are ready to attack the fastball because let's face it, fastballs nowadays at 13, 15, 18 are much harder than they were, back 30, 40, 20, 30, whatever years you want to go back on. And that's what I'm impressed with is how quick these kids' bats are nowadays in their swing path. Now it's just a matter of connecting with the lower half and the upper half of the swing and attacking the baseball, which you do see a lot now in baseball. And I think that's the biggest difference now compared to, when I was younger. But when I was younger, it was see the ball and hit the ball. Now it's you kind of have to have a game plan of trying to attack the baseball and do damage.
Mm-hmm. On the flip side of it, are there any trends or habits that you think need to be taken out of some of these young players' games?
I think a lot of kids nowadays try to pull too much. I think they put their average, and listen, I understand that they put the average in front of quality at bats, and I haven't seen a lot of it in Okotoks. I mean, when I was there for a little bit working with the 13Us, I was impressed the way they use the whole part of the field, and that's what's so great about the Okotoks Dawgs Academy. I mean, they preach the same thing I do. Use the big part of the field. But I think, as a younger age, I mean, you see in Major League Baseball, and of course they're going to be watching the Blue Jays or whoever they're watching. You do see a lot of younger players trying to pull a lot of balls, and that's where they make easy outs. So we're just trying to get back to the point of using the big part of the field and get away from, trying to be a guy that wants to hit balls 250, 260, 300, 320, whatever it is, to pull side, and understand that the pull power, anyone has pull power. It's the people that have the power to the gaps are the guys that have success. And that's really what we're going to try to, that's what I'm going to try to get along to drill in their heads, is that we need to learn how to drive the ball left center, right center, and then pulling a baseball is easy because it's a reaction. Hitting a ball to right field is just because you're a hair late on a swing. So that's the tendency I'm going to try to get out of this. It's just trying to get these kids from trying to stop pulling every single pitch and start working, the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to the young kids, especially, how important in your eyes is it to have some more of that individualized coaching side of things? I mean, long gone are the days where you basically preach to the choir and say you have to do things a certain way, whereas every kid, it seems now, learns a little bit differently or does things just a little bit differently. And if you can attack those things as a coach, you're going to see the best out of those players.
Well, I think individual one-on-one work is outstanding. Reinforcing what their strengths are, what they do well, what they might struggle at, and continue working on areas where they might struggle. Like a lot of times I'll say to the players, everyone at this age should know where they want the pitch. That's where their money pitches, I call it. Mm-hmm. And now we need to go to the point where is their weakness? And then build off their weakness of being able to, again, hit a ball to right center or left center, depending on which way you hit. Everyone can pull a baseball. It's just a matter of pulling the baseball properly. And, that's just one of those things where that one-on-one, you just come and it's a reinforcement of remind them how good they are and how good they can be using the big part of the field. You notice I use the big part of the field a lot in our conversation, because that to me that's one of the biggest things I learned was, I was early in my career, I was a slap guy, hit the ball to left field and run. And then I learned how to use every part of the field, which made it easier to hit. So the one-on-one is huge. You can sit there and talk to a group and tell them you have to do this, but, little Johnny sitting over the corner might be taller. He might have a little longer swing. Little Mikey might have a longer swing, so you might have to work on certain things. So individual stuff one-on-one to me is huge because it's a lot easier for them to understand because you're talking one-on-one compared to a group where, some of the guy might think or gal might think, well, that doesn't really suit my swing. You have to realize that you're working with a lot of different personalities, a lot of different body types, a lot of different body swings, bat speed, and their approach. So that's an area where I believe that one-on-one is key.
I like the allusion to the big part of the field only because I used to love the overcompensation defenses used to do, where it was, you'd have the shift on and a guy goes and bunts down the third baseline because everybody shifted that one way, and all of a sudden it's a double. I'm like, I'd much rather have a guy who can hit a double and be on base than a guy who pops out to the shortstop who's now sitting in shallow left field or shallow right field, right? So that personal preference, I like small ball, but maybe that's just me.
Well, no, and I'll elaborate on that. I love small ball because I think small ball, what it does is it becomes more of a team sport. As much as I hate saying it's a team sport, because let's face it, baseball is an individual sport. If you don't do well, you don't last very long. But if you get a guy up with the man on second base, I love seeing a guy try to drive that guy in by driving the ball as a right-handed hitter to right field, or a lefty trying to drive the ball to right field.
Mm-hmm.
What you see nowadays, and it doesn't matter what age you're at, from the big leagues down to 13U or even lower, is that bases loaded situation. They're trying to get 4 RBIs, and they walk away with the goose egg instead of working the big part of the field, getting one, and then relying on your teammate to pick you up to try to pick up another one. To me, that is huge. Where baseball nowadays, if there's a man on second base and I get a fastball and I pop up the left field, well, I get a check mark because I attacked the fastball. Well, you didn't do anything. Now you're putting pressure on your second hitter behind you to try to drive the run in from second base, where if you did your job and drove the ball to right center or left center and try to advance them and to get him in, hopefully, to me, you're doing your job. But again, when you get into the younger players, they want that RBI. And a lot of times they walk away with 0. And it happens in the big leagues as well.
Is there a bit of an overemphasis on power, whether it be as a hitter or even I think about it as a pitcher, right? Like everybody's turning their heads looking and going, oh man, like there's a guy who hit 105.5 last night on the mound and everybody's wow. But they underemphasize the guys who might throw 90 but are pinpoint accurate, right? Is there an overemphasis in your eyes when it comes to the power numbers that are seen both on the mound and in the batter's box?
I believe so. And I think, it's listen, StatCast is an interesting stuff with the launch angle, exit velocity. If you think about trying to drive a ball, left center, right center field gap, that means you hit the ball hard. Well, automatically there's my exit velocity. Launch angle it's more of, depending on the younger player with his size and his bat speed. Why do I want a guy who's say 5'1" and has okay bat speed hitting balls in the air, where let's teach him to hit line drives first? And I think that's the biggest thing with that we get away from. And again, I'm not talking about Okotoks because I haven't had a chance to work with all those kids. I'm talking in general of baseball that I see in either the big leagues or in the minor leagues or locally here in Fredericton, is that hitting the ball in the air is usually an out, unless you have that raw power to where you can hit a ball, in the gap or for home runs. For instance, I was a hitting coach in with the San Diego Padres one year, and I had a guy that wanted to imitate his buddy, and he didn't have the size of it. So he had a lot of balls that were, 380 to center field. Well, it's a good swing, but the bottom line is it's an out.
Mm-hmm.
So my biggest thing is what I try to teach kids is to try to hit a line drive and try to break the glove at a shortstop or second baseman. And eventually, when you try to hit that line drive to second and to short, the way your swing goes through, it allows you to end up generating more line drives and fly balls to gap. And we've had a great success here in Fredericton in the last 4 years of having all the coaches on the same path of thinking that. From the instance we played the other day in the 15U tournament or 13U tournament, and a guy hit a bomb to right center because he was thinking gap to gap.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the area where I think, yes, they did talk about power. They do talk about arm strength. They do talk about, the high spin rate. But the bottom line is when you get in the batter's box, let's just make solid contact and build off that.
Mm-hmm. Now, we've talked a lot about the athlete side of things. I want to get into the coaching side as well, because a lot of young coaches are making their way in Okotoks. They've just announced Graham Brunner, a longtime academy kid, played for the college Dawgs. He's going to be joining them as coach. Soren Graverson's a longtime guy as well who's coming back and being a coach. How much of what you're doing is going to be aimed at making your fellow coaches better in the process as well?
Well, I think I don't necessarily say it's going to make them better. I think again, I'm not going to come in there and demand a trade of or change of this is what we're going to do, because again, you're coming into a coaching staff with a lot of experience and had great success when they played the game as well. And for me to come in and say, well, this is how we're going to do it, wouldn't be fair to an academy that's, climbing every year. To me, I'm going to go in and give my pointers of success I had, success that I've had with teammates, success that I have seen with players that I've worked with. And it's going to be a big discussion. And that's why probably within a week when we get there, we'll sit down and have a discussion and say, listen, it's not my way or this or leave or don't like it. I would never do that, because again, I'm going to go there and learn a lot of things about hitting as well. Something that might be different for swings and that I never thought of before. And do I know hitting? Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I know a lot about hitting. I know a lot about the right-handed hitters, the left-handed hitters, the technique of how to use your lower half properly. Where my job is to let's start from the base and we start from the feet up. That's where we start. Everyone talks about, oh, his hands are doing this. No, because if his hands are wrong, there's something wrong with his lower half. So we go right back to the basics of, getting in that good power stance, a good balance stance, and working on how your lines go towards the pitcher. And it's hard for me to explain what I mean unless I'm sitting here drawing lines during this interview. And then I'm actually doing this while I'm talking. But, it's again, I would never walk into a program and say, this is it, or this is what it's just not going to work, because that's not the type of person I am. There is no great hitting coach. There's guys that know a lot of stuff about hitting, but that's why you have such a tremendous coaching staff that we can sit down and say, these are my thoughts, open it up and give me more thoughts, and we can build off that. So that's what I'm really excited about is working with a tremendous coaching staff, and picking their brains on certain swing paths and approaches and what they think is good. And I give my thoughts on what I think is very important. And then you build off it. And I mean, how can't you, have a kid that maybe struggled and all of a sudden now you have 60 some years of major league service combined with our coaching staff to make these young players a lot better.
Absolutely. Looking at it in the grand scheme of things, whether it be in Fredericton or whether it be out in Okotoks or all throughout your travels in Canada and abroad, what's it meant to you to be able to give back to the game in this way through coaching and mentoring the next generation?
Well, I think that's where, I mean, I love it. I mean, that's, people always say, it's awesome that you give back. Well, I mean, why wouldn't I? I mean, I had coaches when I was coming up that gave me, my father. He was tremendous with me when it came to coaching and stuff. But, it's not necessarily, I don't sit there and go, pat yourself in the back because you're giving back. It's just something I love doing. I'm very passionate about baseball. I'm very passionate about hitting. I honestly do know a lot about defense. And, when I go out there, I know I'm the director of hitting and stuff, but there's a lot of different things that I've learned over my career of watching the Latinos play defense, how like they're so light on their feet. There's just such a big area of coaching that I want to, maybe if you go to a camp and there's 30 kids there and, all of a sudden you get one or two kids that get a chance to go to pro, or they get a chance to go to a college. I'm not going to sit there and pat myself on the back and put my thumbprint on this kid and say that, he's there because of me. No, I just suggest things. These kids are the talented ones. And that's the fun part of giving back, is because, one, especially in Fredericton, I mean, everyone knows who I am, and I worked with all these kids for 4 years, and I got 720 kids in our program, and they know I'm passionate. To me, it's just, I don't look at it as a job. I look at it as an opportunity to go out and hopefully, maybe that next kid can be the Larry Walker that gets to the big leagues, or, that's who I wanted to be. I looked up to Larry Walker so much when he played and his approach that it's nice just to go out and give back and try to help. Even if you talk to a group of 10 and one kid, has that great success, I mean, it makes you feel pretty good because you got to him, and unfortunately, maybe the other 9 guys you have to work on a different program. But as far as giving back, that's I've coached high school hockey for 20 years. I finally retired from that. Helped out with softball teams. I would never help anyone with my golf swing because that just wouldn't help. But I mean, with baseball, it's just I have a lot of knowledge in baseball, and again, I don't think I know it all. I think I know quite a bit about baseball, but it's just a fact of giving back and seeing success for these kids. And the bottom line is the smile they have when they carry something over to a game or batting practice and it works. That's the bottom line, is seeing the joy of the younger players, knowing that they worked their butts off and it started working, and then you can leave them alone and they just carry it on. That's the great thing about being a guy that gives a lot back to the community, and that's just the way I am. I'm a happy-go-lucky, very happy guy, and I have fun, and I'll even get in the cage and take swings with them. Because it's very easy to preach what to do, but when you get in the batting cage and hit off the tee or take live BP, visually they can see what I mean by the approach. And even being at 56, I still get in and hit off a tee all the time with the kids and show the technique of swinging and go from there.
But the other piece to all this, as much as we talk about the giving back pieces, it sounds like you're taking a little bit too, right? Like you talked about how you're always learning from other coaches and even from some of the athletes and in different styles. Like you really seem to enjoy the learning side of the game still at 56.
Oh, I do. I mean, I was always said that what helped me in baseball is I became a student of the game. And, I had probably more hitting coaches than anyone in the history of the game. I mean, I think I had 20 or 22 hitting coaches. And, it's not that you take a little thing from every hitting coach, because every hitting coach is a little different. And then you build it in. Like if I tell a younger player, this is what I want you to do, then all of a sudden, Coach John Doe is over there giving his point of views. Now the younger player is confused of what to do. And that's the biggest thing that was hard in big leagues, is because being a hitting coach, you're a hitting coach of 12 or 13 players, but they have their hitting coaches in the offseason as well. So it's a no-win situation back then. But getting everyone on the same page and learning from other coaches makes you a better hitting coach or a better coach, because you're not that stubborn guy saying, no, it's my way. And again, I am an open book. I am a student of the game. I don't watch a lot of Major League Baseball anymore, but when I do, I really study the game. And that's the success I had, was because I became a student of the game, realizing what was going on. What this guy's going to throw on a 2-1 pitch to a fellow left-handers, or what his tendencies are. And that's just, again, that's the student of the game side. And whatever I can learn from, which I will probably learn a ton of stuff being in Okotoks with all these quality coaches and great coaches, I'm excited on that side, because it's going to make me a better coach as well.
Absolutely. Final question for you. I am cognizant of time and really appreciate you taking nearly half hour here with us. It's one we ask everybody here on the show, Matt. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
The game of baseball is, what's it mean to me? That's a great question. I mean, to me, it was a job, which is funny because, when I was in the Nationals last weekend and players said, you don't talk about your career much. Well, no, you don't have to. I mean, that's what you have, YouTube and TikTok and all that other stuff. You can go on there and watch the videos. To me, I took it as an approach of a game, and I didn't want to leave the game until I was ready to leave. So that means I had to work harder than, the guy sitting beside me. And that's the key about baseball, is that, a lot of guys get out there and put so much pressure on themselves. And I know I'm kind of getting away from the question of stuff, but to me, it's just my work. For me, it was playing a great kids game that everyone always says. But I took it as a job, saying I have to produce and I have to play well, which means I have to work extra hard. And it's the same thing as whatever job you do. If you go out and you don't succeed in any job, or if you don't do your job, well, you're out looking for a job. My thought process was, if I don't do my job playing baseball, then I have another 29 teams I have to look to see if they'll hire me. And that's how I took it. I had fun before the game. I had fun after the game. But when it was time to put the spikes on across the white line, I took it like a business. And I didn't goof around. I took my work extremely serious. And that's I mean, I don't know if that really answers your question, but that's how it was for me. That was just it was a job that, I hate the word have fun, because the only time you ever have fun is when you have success. You know, I enjoyed my time in baseball, put it that way. I enjoyed going to the ballpark. I could not wait to get to the ballpark at 12 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. That's how I was. I got to the ballpark at 7. Game started at 7. Did all my stuff that I had to do. Played the game. I was serious for that 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Back then it was 4.5, depending if you played against the Yankees or the Red Sox. God knows they were long games. But then after that, you let it go and you enjoy the evening. And that's how it was. So that, to me, that was what it was. It was a job for those 3 or 4 hours that you were playing between the lines. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I mean, the key at the end of it, you mentioned it, you enjoyed it, which was the key. And again, we really enjoy being able to go a little bit deeper. It was longer than the 3 minutes we had during the All-Star game. So really appreciate a little bit longer of a chat with you this time around, Matt. Congrats on the new role with the Dogs. Thanks for all you do for the game in Canada and across North America. And again, thanks as always for joining us here on the show.
My pleasure. Anytime. I imagine we'll talk soon.
Thanks again to Matt Stairs for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. As mentioned, we have several great episodes planned to take you through September, October, and even November. So now's the time to hit subscribe and get your baseball fix this fall. And if you like this or any other episode, leave us a rating and review on your app to help spread the word about ADS. A tip of the cap, as always, to our platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dawgs, the Western Canadian Baseball League, and Under the Lights Sports and Entertainment for all their support in helping us cover costs like web hosting fees and travel. If you'd like to join our roster of supporters, email us at albertadugoutstories@gmail.com and we can pass along all the details you need. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.